for us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily.
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Welcome to the end of your work week, everybody. Not quite done. One more day to the weekend and one more day until Utah goes back-to-back the second time on this 4-game road trip games against the Montreal Canadiens, Les Habitants, and the Ottawa Senators coming up. Adrian Denny, Mike Fulta with you here on Mammoth Daily. We're your Hockey Night in Utah radio broadcast crew. Adrian, 2 teams coming up for the Utah Mammoth that seem to play a pretty exciting style of hockey. At least they've been in a lot of exciting games to start the year.
Montreal might be up there with Utah, Mike, in the terms of drafted prospects in the last 3 or 4 years that are now on their roster and making an absolutely huge impact. This Montreal team, Mike, this is going to be a huge night to dial in on special teams. And Utah's been great about staying out of the penalty box. 5 straight games, 2 shorthanded situations or less. And that would be absolutely phenomenal if that continues on Saturday, because Montreal's power play is converting at a 53.9% rate since October 23rd. Meanwhile, it'd be a great time for Utah to snap the 0 for 10 on the power play, because the Canadiens' penalty kill is clipping at just about 75%. So for me, you got Montreal's young skill. They could score, and watch out for special teams in this game. Both teams, Mike, were tied for the NHL's lead in wins at 9 entering business here towards the end of the week.
And as we record this is we're recording on Thursday. Thursday night, the Canadiens play the New Jersey Devils. That should be a fun one. Montreal currently leading the Atlantic as we sit. New Jersey leading the Metro heading into that matchup Thursday night. So a fun one. Montreal 9-3-1 before this New Jersey game. 3rd in the league in scoring. You mentioned they can put the puck in the back of the net, and they're doing it with kind of a similar layering to what Utah has. You think of Utah's top guys, Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, right? Well, Montreal has Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. Then you think of the young crop for the Utah Mammoth, the J.J. Peterka, Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley group. That's the next wave that's pushing this Utah team towards more goals and towards more success. And as you said, Montreal has that same, or at least a similar injection. Ivan Demidov, who was taken 5th overall in the Macklin Celebrini draft in 2024. He has been phenomenal, and I think making the 4 teams, or at least the 3 of the teams that passed on him in the draft, really regret it, because he has 12 points in 13 games to start this year, looking like he could be a front runner for the Calder Trophy. And speaking of the Calder Trophy, you have last year's Calder Trophy winner in Lane Hudson, who is a point-per-game player on the back end for Montreal. They also made a big splash this last offseason, bringing in Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders. He's off to a good start and has helped that back end that was already pretty good with guys like Mike Matheson and Lane Hudson. You add Noah Dobson, and those are 3 really, really top-tier defensemen back there. And on their goaltending line, in the crease for them, Jakub Dobesh, undefeated to start the year, Adrian, 6-0-0 with a .930 save percentage. So kind of a lot of similarities, especially when it comes to similarities between Utah and Montreal, that is, especially when it comes to an established group of core players combined with this injection of youth.
Yeah, I remember Dobish. He came up from the American Hockey League right around the time that Utah got their first win in Montreal last season, and then he was really going by the time that the Canadiens came to Delta Center in January. Got off to an absolutely phenomenal start. Mike, the Canadiens have played some really close games. Entering Thursday night, 7 straight 1-goal games. They've played some wild games too. 3 of their last 7 games have gone past regulation. They played a wild one with Philadelphia on Tuesday night. They were down 3-0, 8 minutes into the game, stormed back, took a 4-3 lead in the second, and the Flyers tied it and won it in a shootout. So they can put the puck in the net. They're high flying. You remember we played a Toronto team on Wednesday night that was down 3-0 to Pittsburgh in their previous game. On Monday night, stormed back and put up 4 goals in 10 minutes and won that 4-3. And quick correction, I said 3 of their last 7 have gone past regulation. 4 of their last 7 have gone past regulation. 5-1-1 in those 7 straight 1-goal games.
They have 9 wins on the year, AD. 5 of their 9 wins have come in extra time. So bring your popcorn. We're doing time and a half at Centre Bell on Saturday night. At least there's a good chance. And that brings us to Ottawa as well, Adrian. The Senators also kind of play that, or have been playing these games where it doesn't matter who scores first. They're coming back in games. They play a lot of extra time games. Ottawa hasn't had the success that Montreal has had to start this year. Senators just 1 game over 500, 6th in league scoring entering the weekend, but also the 2nd worst defensive team for the Sens. They're giving up almost 4 goals per game. So those numbers are skewed a bit by some wonky results. It seems like they either play a really tight game or they play in some kind of blowout. There seems to be no in between. They had a stretch where they won 7-1 against the Washington Capitals, then won 7-2 against Boston, and then lost 7-3 against Chicago. So they're kind of in the middle of a lot of weird results recently. But I think one thing that stood out to me about Ottawa, Adrian, they've only scored the first goal twice this year. So if Utah can jump on the Sens early, that would kind of fit the trend with what Ottawa has succumbed to here early in the season.
Yeah, they played Montreal in their last game. Hadn't played since Saturday before Thursday night when they played Boston, but a 4-3 overtime game that they lost to the Canadiens. 2-1-1 last week going into that 3 or 4 day break. They've scored 7 goals twice in their last 5 games. You remember Logan Cooley, 2nd star in the NHL the week before last. Well, Drake Batherson, 2nd star of the week last week. He had a 8-point stretch in 4 games. So one of their stars there without their captain, Brady Tkachuk. The Tkachuks, man, those injuries that they succumb to, kind of getting beat up in the Four Nations face-off. But so a big skater that they're without, and Utah will see them Sunday. Ottawa will also be on a back-to-back. They're in Philly on Saturday afternoon. So not a true back-to-back. They're playing the afternoon game and then the 7 o'clock Eastern time start on Sunday as Utah plays at 7 on Saturday, 7 on Sunday.
Yeah, Utah had some eggs. They laid a couple eggs against Ottawa last year. Remember the 4-0 shutout lost in October early last year? And then was it 3-1 in Ottawa? I mean, it was just kind of a yucky game that Utah couldn't get anything going on a Sunday afternoon. I believe it was a Sunday afternoon. But it was at the end of a road trip, and it just wasn't Utah's best. And it felt like it was the last game of a road trip.
It was, Mike, and Ottawa was on a back-to-back. You remember they beat Toronto, I think, the night before.
Yeah, emotional game. Yep.
And Utah had come from Winnipeg after a frustrating game on a Friday night. And, yeah, I think that the Sens added an empty net goal late there and won 3-1. The other game you mentioned was in October. Just that really rough 2-week stretch in October before Utah got Ole Mata. Lost to Ottawa, lost to the Avs, lost to the Kings, had that forgettable 4-1 lead against San Jose at home.
What do you think? How do you view these 2 games, Adrian, looking at the road trip so far? You play a really good game against Buffalo, and you win 2-1, you get 2 points, and you play well enough through 40 minutes to be in the mix against a good Toronto squad, or at least a talented Toronto squad. and then the wheels come off the wagon in the third. And now you're looking at two teams that both think that it's their time to make the next step in the Eastern Conference. Both were in the playoffs last year. Both maybe a bit of a surprise to make the playoffs last year, but both think that they're going to head right back to the promised land again this year. What is your, I guess, hope? What's a successful weekend look like for you?
I felt all along on this trip, Mike, if you can take 4 out of 8 points, you come home 10-6, and that is more than acceptable. I was telling my friend Sean O'Connell on ESPN 700 during my weekly visit on Wednesday, he said, where do you think this team is in terms of where they should be right now? And I said, I think they're probably a little bit above it. They had that really good 4-0 homestand to start, went 3-1 on that trip, pushed through that game in Buffalo on Tuesday. This trip, Mike, and I talked about it on yesterday's episode, when you are on the road for such a long stretch, 8 of 9 games, sometimes at the end of these, you just don't recognize the team, let alone recognize yourself in that hotel room, let alone know what city you're in when you wake up and you're turned against the window looking at a strange wall with a strange picture and you're just not too sure.
Yeah.
So I think Utah can win one of these games. Absolutely. And come home with a split, because this is a really brutal stretch. And I said, it's bad content. It's not entertaining, but to me, that's the reality of this situation here that every team sees at some point during the season.
I like that. I'm right on par with you. If you get four out of the 8 points on this trip, I think you're coming home happy. I think even more important than that, I think I would like to see the team play the way it did to start the year. So if you're watching on YouTube, taking a look at Montreal here, but I would like to see the Cooley line start to connect a little bit better and maybe possess the puck a little bit more, and not have to just reload a million times on every shift. I think schedule wise, like the start of the year really helped this team, where you're playing just every other day, right? Like we played literally every other day with one back-to-back thrown in for a month or for 3 weeks at least. And now the schedule has gotten broken up where we had the off days while the team was in Utah. Then you get kind of a weird Sunday afternoon game against Tampa, come up short in that. But the road trip is a back-to-back, and then what, 2 days, and then another back-to-back. And I think that starting and stopping is tough on this group. And especially early in the season, you're trying to find a rhythm, trying to find who you're going to be as a team. I think Utah has established that to some extent, but it's gotten away from them a little bit the last couple of games. And I think the tough part is like you said, the schedule. And if you win one this weekend and you look respectable in the loss, I think that's absolutely fine in the grand scheme of things. Now, in the room, obviously, they think they're going to go and win both. But just looking at it from a standings perspective, you go take 4 out of 8 points on this trip, you'll take that to the bank.
Yeah, Utah 9-5, and a article in The Athletic that just came out on Thursday, Mike, just happened to punch it up by Chris Johnston, who you met in Toronto on Wednesday for the first time.
Delightful. Oh, I had never met the guy before. Writes for The Athletic and does a great job covering the league, and has his own podcast, I believe. I don't know the name of it. I feel bad, otherwise I'd promote it. But has his own content. Was great. But like you said, I saw some of the quotes from this piece that he wrote.
The headline is, "The Mammoth have arrived as an NHL contender ahead of schedule with room to grow." And Mike, Utah Jazz fans feel this, right? This is how the rebuild started for this group under Bill Armstrong. A 21-22 season where they opened up 1-12-1 and being outscored 56-22. and all they had, Mike, was Dylan Gunther, who they drafted 3 months ago. He was 18. He's still playing junior hockey in Canada. That is the future of your franchise. But you know who was part of that team, and you know who's been along for the ride for all of this? Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller. And that's why it's so fun to see them right now and having the starts of the season they are, with all the work and all the effort of sticking with it and being part of building the culture. Really, really, really happy to see it. A quote from Bill in this article, Mike. Bill said it, so I'm going to say it. We have a TV set in the video room where the players meet every morning that is probably worth more than our entire facility was in Arizona.
Oh, God. Oh, man. I wonder what, like, I got to see this TV. Like, what is that like to watch a game on? I mean, if it's as fancy as Bill describes.
So Chris goes on to say, remember, we finished last year really good, Mike. After the Four Nations face-off break, 17-9-4 to finish the season, an 89-point campaign. Chris throws out some analytics in it. He says the improvements at even strength have been incremental, but they're reflected. The Mammoths, 53.3% expected goal rate and 54.3% goal rate, both rank 6th in the NHL. And Andre Tourigny says they've benefited from the School of Hard Knocks, and we heard him talk about it yesterday to the media, or on Wednesday to the media in Toronto. But the really good article there by Chris that wraps up with Utah being on a pace of a 105-point season, which would have them 57 points in 21-22 to 70 points to 77 points to 89 points to another jump this year as the team pushes to make the playoffs. And the final quote from Bill, that's the exciting part. How good can we be?
Yeah, and we're seeing it unfold with this team. It's gotten better every year under Andre Tourigny and with the players that Bill has brought in. But AD, it's our Friday free-for-all. You think we should send it over to your interview that you grabbed? What was that, back on Sunday, the Tampa game?
Yeah, it was. Folks may have seen us. Jordan Schmaltz, Nick's brother, and I just outside of section 6-7 there. I held up my phone. We did the interview, but if folks haven't seen Jordan's work, he's got 3 podcasts. He's just a hockey guy. Eats, sleeps, breathes hockey. Played in the NHL. I got to know him when he was in the system playing for the Tucson Roadrunners the one year that he was in the organization with Nick back coming out of COVID in 2021, and he was just always that guy. If I needed a product pushed, if we were doing a bobblehead giveaway, if I needed a good interview for an intermission, I'd go find Jordan because I knew that he'd bring it and the fans would love it. So heard he was going to be in town and got in touch with him, and he's our guest on the Friday free-for-all coming up next right here on Mammoth Daily.
It's time for the Friday free-for-all.
It's our pleasure on the Friday free-for-all to bring in a longtime old friend of mine, Jordan Schmaltz. Jordan, how's it going?
Good, brother. The last time I saw you was during the COVID season.
Yeah.
Tucson Roadrunners. I felt like we were doing 10-hour bus trips every other day. You were the color guy. You were the color commentator as well as the play-by-play. You were a jack of all trades. You were doing everything for, just to cover the team during those days. And you had to really love the game at that time, too, because remember, all the games were closed for the public. So it's good to see you here. You got to call the big leagues. I'm so proud of you, man. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. And I can't wait to talk about everything you're doing, because fans that listen and watch Mammoth Daily are going to want to be involved in all the stuff you're doing, too, because they know content. They love content. They crave it.
Showbiz is showbiz, baby.
That year we were together, we could only go to and from the arena.
Yes.
We couldn't go shopping.
No.
I picked up all my shopping at Walmart, and then I eventually started getting it delivered.
Yep.
Right? We could just go to and from the ring.
felt like we were playing in every practice rink, every NHL practice rink. Remember, we were playing at the Toyota Sportsplex where the LA Kings practice. Then we were in Irvine where the Ducks practice, and it was dressed like a seat night. Every game was closed to the public. And I just remember you having to sell like the excitement of the goals, let alone you could hear a pin drop in the arena. So he did a great job on the call. But I just remember those times like, wow, you think it's really hard for us to get up for these games? Imagine like trying to orchestrate to the public how exciting these games are, because it didn't look like that. You know what I mean? That just was the reality of the business at the time.
Jordan, so great to have you in Salt Lake. You're up here a lot with Nick playing for the Mammoth. What have you enjoyed about Salt Lake? You got any spots here? Any definite things you do when you come up on the weekend?
Yeah, so I'm getting more familiar with the city as the year has gone by, and even into last year, I came up for opening night. I did a little hit with the NHL Network, and then we did Christmas in Park City. So we were able to ski, obviously not Nick, but the family in Deer Valley was unbelievable. The No Name Saloon in Park City, one of my spots, a watering hole. But even yesterday, like I was telling you off the camera, I went over to Lake Blanche. I ripped a hike. It was so fun. The views up there were unbelievable. It was a little bit of a further jaunt than I would expect, especially coming from the Arizona hikes. As you know, those are a little bit of a short porch. So this one was no joke. But it was awesome. And then I went over to the Cotton Bottom, which is a little watering hole. And I had to treat myself. I hadn't ate all day. So I got a double burger right to my barrel. I mean, talking right to my gut. Had a beer, hung out. The sun was out. And then Nick cooked me a little chicken parm as long as my arm last night for dinner. So it's his 600th game tonight. I can't wait to see him play. It's the first time being up here this year. So I'm fired up to be in the building. Nothing like this place, man. It's electric.
You just said Cotton Bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a cheat meal spot for me.
It's great.
I run on that trail.
Yeah.
It goes up towards the canyon there. I run by it 4 or 5 times a week, and I just drool every time I walk by it.
Yeah, so I was peeling off, and I was getting on the highway, the interstate, heading south, and I saw this place. I'm like, I've never seen it before. I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's got a good vibe. They got live tunes going on. I'm going to come here after the hike. So when I was getting into that grind of that hike at Lake Blanche, because I was going for time. I was trying to clip that thing. I think I did it an hour and 18 minutes up. So I was humming.
Oh, no.
I was humming. Oh, yeah. But I had the Cotton Bottom on my mind. I'm like, I am going to stuff my barrel with a double cheeseburger. And that's what I did. It was good. So that's my new spot. I like that spot.
Love that. I love the Cotton Bottom.
Yeah.
Last time I went on the hike to Lake Blanche, we turned around halfway up because there was a moose just standing on the trail, just staring.
Yeah. You
Staring
don't
right
want to
at
make
us.
those guys angry.
Yeah.
You got to keep your chin tucked. There was actually there was a guy coming down that said he'd seen a moose just off the trail. So he said, be easy when you're going up. But it's probably one of the last weeks you could do that hike, if I'm being honest, Adrian. It was snowy. It was a little icy. So, and I didn't have the right spikes either. So I had some stock shoes, but that was one of the cooler hikes I've done. It was awesome.
Let's talk about Nick. You're Nick's big brother.
Yes, I am.
You were the dean.
Yep.
He's the centerman. But
Yes.
you said 600 games is off to a great start this season. And I know you and your family are so proud of him and what he's done.
Yeah, I think I could take a little credit for that, right? Shoving him into the concrete walls of our hockey room dating back to the days in Verona, Wisconsin. But yeah, man, I'm so happy for him. Obviously playing together in North Dakota and then playing against each other in the American League, the NHL, and to see him just getting going too now, leading the league, right? He's doing an unbelievable job this year. Contract talks, blocking it out, right? That'll come. There'll be a time for that. But I just think for now, he's really contributing not only on the ice, but he's becoming a leader and a consistent player and a good young man. So that's the things as an older brother I'm really, really happy to see. And, see this next wave of Nick Schmaltz entering his 30s come February.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's not a kid anymore.
Oh,
10 years in the league, you know what I mean? So it's really cool to see, and I'm just so happy for him. He's got a great demeanor, and he's just a really genuine dude. So
you've watched this team.
Yep.
Complete this build with us in Tucson, and Nick's been in Arizona, and now here in Utah, and it's been great to see the start that they've gotten off to, and it's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, you add pieces like Paterka in the offseason. Nate Schmidt is a sneaky pickup, a Stanley Cup winner, a guy that's played in 3 finals, and then just a natural buzzsaw this guy is. I mean, I used to skate with him in Minnesota in the summers, and he'd be coming up and be all goofed up on Mountain Dew, but the life he instills into the team, along with Brandon Tanev, those guys are essential pieces of veteran players where they have that energy. In a long season, as you know, the waves, you can kind of get in ruts and you can kind of get down on different things if you're a losing streak. These guys, man, they provide so much energy on and off the ice, and they did a really good job of assembling a team this year, and I picked them to make the playoffs at the start of the year, so they're so far they're making me look good.
At the 2022 third overall pick in Logan Cooley.
Yeah.
Probably would have drafted him first if you were first. And Bill happy with what he has and got him locked up for 8 years starting next year.
Yeah, I think they got him on a discount too,
Yeah.
right? Yesterday's price isn't today's. And I think, that's a great deal of business for not only Cooley getting $80 million, but for Bill Armstrong and the staff with Ryan Smith. And they got a great center iceman. I think he's going to be a 40-goal guy, 40 assist. And I just love the way he skates for the middle of the ice. And I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can really become. And yeah, it's always cool to see these guys get paid. It's crazy, right? It's just like, here's 80 million, but I think eventually he's going to be underpaid. So a great deal of business for both sides, and so happy for him too.
What else in the NHL in the first month of the season has caught your eye?
Well, I thought the Pittsburgh Penguins were going to stink.
Yeah.
And somehow they're piecing it together. Evgeny Malkin is skating like he's 25. Sid is obviously Sid. Carlson's playing a little bit of defense, not a ton. And so you got some of these pieces there that I'm like, wow, okay, if you're Kyle Dubas and you're looking at this team, you were probably thinking, we might be tanking for McKenna or Keaton Verhoff at North Dakota. But now it's like, what do we do? I just think they're doing a really good job there, and they're surprising a lot of teams. Montreal is my favorite team to watch so far. Exciting young players, the way they're playing, they play hard, they got skill, they got toughness. And Marty St. Louis, I used to love him love watching him as a kid, but he's doing a great job there as a coach. And Goal Caulfield, Stevens Point, Wisconsin kid. Anytime he's smiling on the ice, the game's better.
Well, Jordan, we got to find you because you got 3 podcasts on
I
social
do.
media.
I'm looking for more jobs. Maybe I could pop out weekly with you guys.
You
Yeah.
can
I need 15, I need 16.
We have the Friday free for all every Friday. We
Yeah.
love to have you. Anytime you can come on. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so Home by 3, that's more of a, we say it's a hockey show, but it's mostly like improv comedy. Then I'm on Missing Curfew as well with Shane O'Brien and the former teammate Scotty Upshaw in St. Louis. And then Live in 5 I do with my former captain at UND, North Dakota, national champion, play with myself and Nick Gage Osmus. So I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And I love talking shop, and hockey's the best game in the world, man. So I try to stay connected.
I'm glad you said Gage, because I was going to say, you got to tell him everybody in Utah says hi.
I will.
Because he played with the Utah Grizzlies for half of the season.
That he did, yeah. I was telling him about the hike I did yesterday. He did it. So, yeah, Ozar's the best. He's a great dude. So
he played 2 seasons here,
I think he did, yeah. He was a little bit of a suitcase in that league, but I think he was here. A couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
you know what? I think he was the captain in the second year.
Yeah,
so tell Gage Osmus hi.
I will.
Thanks for stopping by, man.
Yeah,
So
no
great.
problem. Yeah,
So
thanks
great
for
to have
having.
you.
Good seeing you.
That COVID year, man, I don't know.
Oh, dude.
For me, might be weird, but might have been my favorite year in hockey.
Yeah,
Because we were together all the time.
it was just hockey.
We were together all the time.
Yeah.
It was just hockey.
Yeah.
Just us. And we had those 2 buses. Were you on bus 1 or 2?
I think I was a bus 2 guy. Yeah,
I was on 2.
Yeah, I was a bus 2 guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, sitting
yeah.
in the back. I remember Jeremy Gregoire would always take his feet off, or his shoes off, and his feet were so stinky. I'm like, fella, back those off. Let the dogs under.
6 feet. You need 6
come
feet.
on, man. Like, I'm not.
We're social
what's the
distancing.
smell? I don't know. What's going on? So yeah, that was a great time, man.
Thanks
Yeah.
a lot, Jordan.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Wrapping up your work week here on Mammoth Daily. Great to talk with Jordan Schmaltz. He says some crazy stuff, Adrian, but you cannot deny the guy is a hoot. And that was a fun interview. He's always a good interview. I've never met him, but I see his stuff on social media all the time, and he likes to stir the pot. That's for sure.
It's loose and it's light, right? There may be some hot takes, but it's all entertainment with Jordan. You're never going to go away and think, gosh, that could have been more fun.
Nope. No. And he would be perfect to promote whatever you're selling down in Tucson. I could see him on the ticket lines trying to bring the people in. But let's get to our local hockey roundup, Adrian. Some great stuff from around State 45. Some college hockey, some high school hockey. How's Bingham doing these days?
Well, I did not get an update on Bingham after they
made it
closed
closer
the
last week,
gap.
right?
They closed the gap on Skyridge last week. But our game of the week last week, Mike, it was a good one. 7-4, Southern Utah Independent beat Uinta Varsity at the Peaks Ice Arena over the weekend last week.
Wow.
Seven Smith had 4 goals, his second 4-goal game of the year as SUI beat Uinta Varsity 7-4. Seven Smith, Mike,
His name is 7?
7. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Freaking rights.
Yeah. Yeah. 16 goals, 8 assists, 24 points in 9 games.
Wow. Was he wear number
That's
99?
almost 3 points a game. Yeah, we got to get him recruited.
He might have to move up a league. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great work, 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick look at the standings in high school hockey in Utah, Mike. We got 64 varsity and JV teams in the state. My alma mater, Skyline, leading the way. They're 8-1, along with Park City Red Varsity and Southern Utah Independent. 8-1.
Wow.
Cheer and sing together. We're from Skyline, Mike.
Is that the fight song? Is that the
That is.
Come on, give us a little tune of the fight song.
Cheer and sing together. Cheer and sing together. We're from Skyline. And like everybody else with the school song, that's all I know.
Oh my gosh, that's got to be like the intro to this segment. Adrian singing the old alma mater.
Oh,
That's unbelievable.
Great tune.
What other traditions does Skyline have? Like, I remember at my school we had a victory bell that we would ring like at football games and stuff. You guys have anything like that?
Gosh, not that I can remember. They won 4 state championships in football when I was there. There was a lot of good times, a lot of celebrating.
Adrian Denny leading Skyline High down the field.
I was writing about it for the newspaper.
Oh well, they gave you a lot of things to write about. What was your coverage like back then? Were you getting interviews? Were you talking to the players and stuff?
Yeah, for the Skyline Horizon. And you know who also was on the sports staff with me? Jake Scott, who is the midday host at the KSL Sports Zone. Him and I were the sports staff at the Skyline Horizon. And then we took our coverage to the University of Utah and both ended up in sports radio in Salt Lake.
Wow. The Skyline Horizon. Don't mind the spelling mistakes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. No, our professor at the University of Utah, with both of us ending up in sports radio, to her, that would have been probably a D-. And that's probably where she expected both of us to end up. And here we are over 20 years later, still in Salt Lake, talking sports.
That's great. I didn't know that about you, Adrian. It's funny. I once got quoted. I once got quoted in this. It was a school yearbook. It wasn't the newspaper, but it was the yearbook, and it was an entirely fabricated quote that the guy who was like writing this part of the yearbook, he was supposed to be writing about the football team, and he needed a quote, and he was a buddy of mine, and he was just like too lazy, I guess, to go and actually get a quote from somebody. And he might have been up against the deadline, had to turn it in real quick. And so he just typed something generic and slapped my name on it. And I only found it like a couple of years later. And I'm like, I never said this. And now it wasn't anything bad. But in the Fishers High School class of 2016 yearbook, there's a quote about like our football team playing hard and playing together or something like that. That sounds very try hard. It's attributed to me, but I did not say it. So thanks a lot, Mitch.
You got ghost quoted, Mike.
I did. Is that libel or what? There's libel and slander. No.
Well, here's how it can become libel, Mike. Because you are a public figure now. You could legally go back and sue him for that. The statute of limitations, I'm not sure about, but you being a public figure, you have a case for that. If you're not a public figure, there has to be seditious libel involved for you to go sue. Okay. So
I think I'm going to take Mitch Lorkowski to the cleaners.
Yeah, as a public figure, you have that right. That's the law.
Figure. Oh yes. My gosh. Well, okay, let's get back on track here with the local roundup. What else we got around the state of Utah?
How about a free hockey night tonight at the University of Utah? University of Utah is hosting Grand Canyon at Steiner. And click that QR code on YouTube or visit the Utah Hockey Instagram page, and you can get free tickets to the game tonight against Grand Canyon. Utah still ranked 13th in the country in the ACHA.
Love it. That's great. I played at Steiner once. I think I've mentioned this, but played there once at a drop-in game. Probably the last time I'll do that because all the AAA kids were skating around me like it was freaking Cooley, Paterka, and Gunther skating around cones. That's what it felt like, and I was the cone. I was getting bullied by like 16-year-old AAA kids.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you got to find your right time slot and your right rink, right? Just to make sure you don't walk into a hornet's nest.
I was getting bullied at that drop-in at Steiner like the same way that Adrian was bullying Jake Scott in high school, shoving him in lockers at Skyline.
Both Jake Scott and I were about the same size, and we were on the same team, Mike. Let's just say that.
I'm sure. That's a great story, though. That's fantastic.
I've never told that story on the air. It just kind of happened thanks to Skyline's 8-1 hockey team, best record in the state.
Were you doing broadcasting at Skyline too, or did they have any broadcasting or just writing?
Skyline Horizon was all we had.
Okay.
So just newspaper.
What else did the Horizon cover? Just school events like you got homecoming and prom and who's dating who?
We were pretty by the book. We did a lot of features. We told a lot of stories. You know, you can tell the jokes as you want, but over there up on the east side of town, it's pretty sleepy. It's pretty quiet. Not much happening.
I could see you like an old time, reporter with the wrinkled shirt and like the disgruntled tie at a typewriter, like a cigarette kind of smoldering in the ashtray. I know you don't smoke, but like just hair everywhere, trying to meet the deadline. Like I can see that in my mind's eye right now, pounding out an article for the Horizon on the weaknesses of the secondary.
You know what? At Churchill Junior High, it was a little more intense with the Churchill Chimes, our newspaper there, with the cut and paste, and we had to lay things out. We didn't have a computer program to do it. We literally had to cut out our articles out of a column that we typed on a piece of paper and printed and place it by hand. So it was a little more intense at Churchill than at Skyline. But once we got to Skyline, we had the computer program. It was cake. It was like being in the NHL, laying out the paper.
Churchill Chimes? That was what the newspaper was called?
It was indeed, yeah. Churchill Junior High.
If we could make a Mammoth newspaper, a Mammoth edition, what would it be? The Tusk tabloid?
I like it. I like that. You got to have Tusk in there.
Yeah.
Today's Tusk.
Tusk maybe Daily. Mammoth Daily.
Mammoth Daily might be wanting to get involved here with the intellectual properties.
That's right. We'll get our lawyers on it for this hypothetical newspaper. That's a great local roundup, though, AD, and should be a fun weekend. Go ahead.
One more, Mike. You remember the Vernal Oilers that won that championship, going 45-0 last year, and they had the parade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're off to a great start. 13-0 this year. Look like they're headed back for another USPHL championship. They host Fresno tomorrow night in Logan for Military Appreciation Night. Wanted to give them a shout out.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All righty. Should we send people on their way to wrap up their Friday?
Yeah.
Or start their Friday for driving to work?
Yeah. Take a half day today, folks. Half day Friday.
Adrian will provide your notes for your boss.
Yeah.
Or if you're a student, your sick notes. Get out of school.
Just leave. See if anybody notices. Does anybody going to say anything? They'll whisper. Is anybody going to say anything? What are they going to do?
Did you ever cut class? Like, I don't think I ever just cut class intentionally. Like maybe a couple times as a senior, but
No, I did not. And I had 3 classes my senior year. So I was done every other day by 8:55, and I went every single day. I never missed a class that I wasn't 6'4" or on assignment with another club or team or something.
Just a couple of goody two-shoes, a couple of Boy Scouts here on Mammoth Daily. But we will send you on your way to wrap up your Friday, and we'll talk to everybody on Hockey Night in Utah on the radio side. Utah is in Montreal Saturday, then over to Canada's capital to take on the Ottawa Senators on Sunday. Then, finally, back home. But wrapping up a road trip this weekend. Thanks, everybody, for listening and for watching, and we will see you again on the airwaves on Hockey Night in Utah on Saturday and Sunday against the Habs and the Sens. Talk to you then.